Academy, and welcome to today's assembly. I hope everyone is accessing the home learning this week and that you all are feeling safe. Now, today's assembly is on the rule of law, and that is one of the 4 reasons for the British values. Okay, now I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully I can do this quite quickly. Yeah, excellent. Now, what do you think a law is? What do you think a law is? Now, we have lots of laws in this country, and we have lots of rules. What do you think a rule is? What is a law? What is a rule? Now, laws are a set of rules that we must live by. Now, if we don't follow these rules, we might have a consequence or a penalty, okay? Now, you might know some laws that we have in this country, okay? And we'll talk about them later on in this assembly. Now, we have some rules in our school. Can you think of any school rules or any class rules that you follow when you come to school? I'll give you a little moment to think of, I don't know, there's 3 that we have in school. There is 3 that we have in school. Can you think of any? Anything? That's right. One of them is called Be Ready. That might be a hint for some of you to remember the next ones. Yeah. Next one after that is Be Safe. Now, come on, who can get the next one? Who can get the next one? And the next one is Be Respectful. Okay. Now we have these 3 rules in the Palmer Academy, and these rules have lots of other things that go with them. Now, how are we being ready in schools? You know, you're being ready in school by, you know, really actively wanting to learn. You want to listen. You might come into school and you know what to do with your bag, your coats, and you come into school. You know that when you're sat down, you're looking at the teacher or listening to the teacher and your LSA in your class. Okay, being respectful. You might be saying please and thank you. Being safe. You know, you don't want to like play fights or you don't want to hurt anyone in school. You know, at the minute, some of our adults have to wear masks on the playgrounds. All these rules, you know, are in Be Ready and Be Respectful and Being Safe. Now, we know that if we follow these rules, we get lots of rewards like Hot Chocolate Friday, or we might get house points. But what happens if we don't follow the rules? What happens? Yeah, sometimes you might get some warnings, or you might, a teacher or an LSA might come and talk to you. Or sometimes it might get down to detention. We have to speak to a parent, but I know everyone at the Palmer Academy doesn't have any of those things, do we? Okay, and we're all ready, respectful, and we are all safe. Now, the aim of this assembly is to obviously understand rules and what laws are, but to understand that we have a civil and criminal law in England, okay? So we have lots of things to protect us. Now, this Lady Justice is a common sight in legal institutions. So anywhere that's to do with law, okay, or legal matters, you know, like you might have some buildings, you might see this picture or the statue around. Now, originally, she is known as the goddess, and I'm going to get this name wrong, Themis, okay, and she represents the fairness of the legal system, okay, and in Greek, Themis means order, so everything has a place, there's a system for everything. Now, if you look at her, what can you see what she's holding? What is she holding? Okay, what do you think she's holding? Yeah, that's right. She has a sword in one arm, okay, and in the other arm, she has scales. Now, if you look at her face, can you see her eyes, or are her eyes hidden? Yeah, she's blindfolded, okay. Now, the person holding the scales represents the law, and they are shown blindfolded because the law is the same for everyone. It doesn't have any favorites. Just like in school, we have those 3 rules for everyone. Someone doesn't have any different rules. All of us have the same rules, okay? And the role of a judge or someone who's in charge, or if someone who's in court, is to be completely fair. Okay, so the law is there, it's fair for everyone, and we are all treated the same. Now, why does Britain have a legal system? Why do you think Britain has a legal system? Why do you think we have laws that everyone must live by? What do you think? Okay, so there's a few suggestions for us. So we have a legal system to prevent antisocial and unacceptable behaviour. So, you know, antisocial behaviour might be someone playing their music too loud next door when it's late at night and you're trying to get to sleep, okay? I know Mr. Sharman was moaning about his neighbours doing that the other day. Now, what about, and then we have things to do with like businesses, and then we have, you know, we own our own property if you live in a house, okay, or a flat, okay. We've got things to do with families and personal relationships. And, you know, we want to provide means for citizens to resolve disputes. That means people might not agree with other people, okay, and they have to be able to go somewhere or follow guidelines to make sure that everyone is fair and has their own say, okay? So we need a legal system to make sure that everyone has a fair society, okay? So, just one where I am. Now, there are two types of law. There's civil law and there's criminal law. Okay, we're going to understand what that means in the next slide. Now, in the courts of England and Wales, they're headed by senior courts of England and Wales. I just realised what I said there. Okay, now, there are high courts of justice, and these are for civil cases. Now, these deal with cases to do with like family or money, okay? And the Queen appoints a high court judges, and in court they're referred to as my lord, okay, or my lady. And these cases are heard by a judge, but depending on the case, a jury, that will be some people from society, they get to decide the outcome after listening to both arguments, okay, so for and against. And then we have the Crown Court, which is for criminal cases, okay, and a judge and jury will be present to deliver, okay, a verdict, say if someone is guilty or not guilty. So guilty means that someone's done something wrong, and not guilty means if they haven't done something wrong or what they were accused of. And then also we have a Supreme Court, and this is the highest court in the land for both criminal and civil appeal cases, okay? Now, this court deals with appeals where the case is of high public importance. So sometimes you might have cases that are to do with the police, the NHS, okay, or the government. Now, civil law. Okay, what do you think civil law is? Now, civil law is concerned with the rights and duties of citizens in dealing with other citizens. So citizens is the people within that society. Okay, so from me to you, or you might know some other adults having disputes, okay? Now, civil laws covers activities such as lending and borrowing money, entering into contracts, disputes with neighbours, getting married, and inheritance and wills. Okay, can you think of any more civil law activities? Yeah, I've just realised I made a mistake on the PowerPoint. I was meant to have those three come out later. But okay, so we've got all of these ones here. Okay, so we'll go on to criminal law. Okay, now with criminal law, these are criminal offences that are regarded as offences against society. So it includes the punishment of people who break these laws. Okay. So it deals with such matters as crimes against people. So for example, assault. So that's where one person has hurt another person, okay, or one group of people has hurt another group of people. Or we've got property crimes like burglary, okay. Now, can you think of any other criminal law activities? Hopefully I've made this slide better than the last one. What do we think? So we've got things like theft. So theft is when you steal from another person. Burglary is like when you go into someone else's property to steal something, okay? So we've got things like fraud, arson, or vandalism. Okay, and then if you break a law or break a rule, you obviously have compensation or punishment. Now, in civil law, the courts award compensation when someone can prove the other party is wrong. So if someone has done something wrong, you might be awarded compensation. Some of the time, that is, you get given some money by the court. Now, in criminal courts, the aim is to punish wrongdoers, okay, and impose a sentence which prevents them from reoffending. So what might happen there, people may get sent to prison, okay, from criminal courts. Now, again, compensation refers to the act of providing the person with money or other things of value in order to provide for the cost of injuries that they have occurred, okay? That means, say you're at work and you might get injured because you haven't been protected by your workplace. That company might take the court and they might have to give you some money for the injuries that you have got, or to like make sure your life is easy to live. Okay? And then a sentence for criminals, okay, can generally involve imprisonment, or you might get fined a lot of money. Okay, that's what happens if you get punished or have compensation. Now, we have lots of laws in this country, but, you know, every year, government or people, like, we make up laws and then we get rid of old laws. So, for example, you used to not be allowed to eat mince pies on Christmas Day. But obviously that law was a bit silly because I love eating mince pies, and I think a lot of you probably do like eating mince pies. But that has gone to Parliament and that has disappeared, okay? If you could make a new law, what would it be? Think about this. If you could make any law, what would it be? What do you think? It could be, I don't know, maybe a 3-day weekend, maybe, you know, or you might want more school, maybe only a 1-day weekend, you're in school 6 days a week. What do you think? Okay, now we have lots of rights and responsibilities. Okay, and I'm just going to try and see if I can click this video to show you how laws are made. Let's have a go. Let's see if this works.
Both houses in Parliament share responsibility for making and shaping laws. But where do laws come from in the first place? A bill is a proposal for a new law, or to change an existing law, and comes from lots of places, like governing and opposition parties, public inquiries, civil servants, or campaign groups. So how does an idea get turned into a law? Imagine the government wanted to place greater controls over the internet. A proposal called a Green Paper is published, which presents the government's ideas for future policy. This is open for public discussion, with interested groups like internet service providers and others likely to be affected. Once findings are gathered, a white paper is published, which outlines a firmer plan for government policy. Cabinet ministers must agree whether the proposal is taken forward. Once agreed, a bill is drawn up, and the minister responsible for the policy introduces the bill to Parliament for debate. MPs and members of the House of Lords comment on, debate, or amend the bill through several stages, and at the end of the process, apart from very rare circumstances, it must be agreed by both houses. It's then passed to the monarch, who gives formal approval, or royal assent, and the bill becomes law, called an Act of Parliament.
Okay, excellent. Let's go back to the other screen. So, yeah, so I know that's a really, really quick video, of how laws are made in this country. So you can see there's a green paper where an idea, okay, is being put forward and people go to discussions and talk about it. And then there's a white paper, which then, you know, it's more in place. It goes for a government policy, okay, and then it goes to the government and then they vote if they feel it should go forward or if they think it shouldn't happen. And then a bill is drawn up, okay, by the people in Parliament, and then they have a debate, okay, and it goes to the two parties or three parties. We have like the Conservatives, the Labour, and you might have more parties, okay, and then they might change it a little bit. And then it goes through, and then if it does go through, it's called an Act of Parliament, okay? It's a very, very long process, but they have to make sure they get these rules right. Now, in London, the Central Criminal Court of England and Wales is called the Old Bailey, okay? Now, that's taken from the street on which it stands, and it's a number of buildings housing the Crown Courts. Now, in Reading, do you know where your courts are in Reading? We have three main ones, okay? Do you know where the courts are in Reading? You might have walked past them if you've gone into Reading town. So this is the first one that we have. Really, really gorgeous building, okay? This is the Reading Crown Court, okay? And that's just the old Shire Hall, and it's near the Forbury Gardens, okay? And we have another one. Oh, and sorry, and these are some pictures taken from inside that court, okay? Just to give you an idea of what it could look like. And yep, some pictures. And we have another one. You might have walked past this a few times when you've gone into Reading Town Centre. So this one's the Reading County Court, and it's the hearing centre, and that's on Friar Street. Okay, and we have a last one. And this is the Magistrates Court. Okay, it's a family court as well, and that's on Castle Street. Okay, so thank you for watching today's assembly. I hope it's been interesting and you've learned something. Okay, and I'll see you back here for your next assembly. See you later. Bye-bye.